Opa Gundam style? I don't understand what these kids are talking about now. I think that's how it's said.
Yeah, it's the most delightfully cursed podcast intro I've ever been gifted.
Just give me a couple days, I could probably think of something worse. Anyway.
It's Wow Cool Robot time again, once more, as you can tell by your podcast feed. I'm Max, I use he, him pronouns, and with me today are...
I'm Dan, I use he, him, they, them pronouns.
I'm Yuria, she, her, and I'm joined by my gun tank on my desk right now.
Oh, hey, Hayato's here! Little gun tank, rumble rumble!
I also have the SD gun tank on my shelf right now too, but this one needs actual detail work, so...
Yeah, I'm in a drought. I've just totally run out of kits to get, and I could go to Target and get more. Because, I have a whole slew of stuff I pre-ordered for G-Witch. I have, 5 or 6 kits coming from that in, one big-ass shipment in December. Because, I did it through USA Gundam Store, and they only ever ship complete. So, some of those kits are already out, but not for another couple months. But when that happens, oh man, going back in the mines.
Wish I could get some G-Witch kits, but I've seen the images of what they're filling in for the sold-out sections.
Yeah.
Ironically, I think one of them was, gun tank kits.
you will buy gun tank and you will enjoy it.
I will and I shall.
I love the part in The Witch from Mercury when Suletta enters her first duel and she pops out of the canister and she's piloting the gun tank. Gundam Ariel, I don't know her. But we're not talking about G-Witch, because that is far in the future for this 2014 TV show. We're talking about Gundam Build Fighters. We're back at it.
Cool robots.
I am saying Wow Cool Robot about every 2 seconds with this show. These episodes are no exception. So I say we start rocking and rolling with episode 4, Gunpla Idol Kirara. As Sei and Reiji win their second round battle, some shady scientists are looking at a slideshow of the build strike to find its weaknesses, as one of them says battles are decided long before the battlefield. Sei meets with a girl named Mihoshi in his store who seems to know a ton about Gunpla. He's just happy to be able to talk shop with someone for once, but China, who has a crush on Sei, sees this and is dejected. As Sei spends time with Mihoshi, she's able to get her hands on the build strike and secretly scratches up its joints because she is actually Sei's next opponent in disguise, the Gunpla Idol Kirara. Sei and Reiji nearly lose their battle, but Sei shows off the Build Strike's transforming backpack, destroying Kirara's Gerbera Tetra with the build booster and winning the match. It's nice, it's weird. I didn't expect there to be, an idol showing up in, the 4th episode. But she's okay. She's fun, I guess.
Is this the Gunpla that's just a lady? I know there's a Gunpla that's just a lady.
So you're thinking of the Nobel Gundam, which is Neo Sweden's Gundam from G Gundam. No, this is what she uses.
No, not that one. They swear there's some Gunpla model that's just an anime girl.
Oh, you know what? That's
is Try.
Yeah, that's from. I thought it was from Divers.
I know there's one in Try, but I think they just keep doing that after Try.
Right. And it's funny, they've turned that. I feel like Bandai's Figure-Rise line is kind of becoming that. I mean, you can buy kits of those, of the mobile dolls, I think they're called, but now you can buy Figure-Rise kits of the main characters from Witch from Mercury, and they put together like a Gunpla, but it's a person. And I think they've actually been doing that for years beforehand with Dragon Ball characters. I can go out and I can buy Broly in Target if I really wanted to. He's waiting for me.
I think I remember watching a Nerdcube video, and Dan got I don't remember if it was a Figure-Rise, but it was definitely a semi-kit of Trunks from Bandai. It was really high quality.
The best character in Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
I believe this in my heart. So this one starts out, we see they made it for me. It starts out with a reference to Zeta Gundam, because we see a Marasai, which is what Sei and Reiji are fighting, and the pilot and builder combo look like Jared and Kakrikon from Zeta, which just warms my heart because good. Jared, I have a disease and it's called Jared is my favorite Gundam character ever, and it's incurable.
glad that there's just a guy named Jared.
It's spelled Jerid, to be fair.
Yeah.
This is true. I am looking him up.
Jared Mesa is the most pathetic character in anime. He fails upwards. He somehow... There is no way that he can ever do wrong, because every time he fucks up, like, the blame is shifted to someone else. I think he's under some divine protection, except for the one time at the end of the series when he wasn't. But I still love him so much, even though he loses this Gunpla match.
There was a GIF going around earlier. Actually, I think just a full-on video clip of Camille kicking Jared off a mountain.
Yes,
while he was
Camille.
in crutches.
Many forget in Zeta Gundam that Camille does indeed judo throw Jared Mesa off of Mount Kilimanjaro, and that happens. And he's fine.
That's wonderful.
But
Come on, Camille, do better.
You do better.
You lived.
Until he didn't. But, you know, they win their match, of course. They destroy the Marasai. And, like, it cuts to the end of kind of like this slideshow freeze frame. We see some shady-looking scientists. They're talking about the beam rifle, and they're talking about the shield, and how the beam rifle's barrel is strengthened with metal in the inside, and the shield has, like, layers of plastic on it. And they're kind of, like, you know, geeking out about how much effort he put into building the suit, but, like, one of them talks about how, you know, the results of the battle are determined long before you hit the battlefield. So they're clearly doing some kind of, like, evil reconnaissance for someone. And completely unrelated to that, we then get a nice idle song.
I love how, like, dead serious these scientists are studying toys battling. It's great.
I know! I mean, these episodes really serve to kind of add to the fiction of this Gunpla world where, much like Yu-Gi-Oh!, where every single facet of life is determined by dueling and card games, every single facet of life in this show is determined by Gunpla, to the point where people will try and, like, pay for services and pick up women using Gunpla kits, which is just so choice. So fucking funny. Yeah, Kirara sings her nice song. I don't really... my eyes just kind of glazed over at this part. I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah, it's early 2010s anime.
It sure is. When we get the opening, which is always slaps, and I will never skip it. And we see Ricardo, who's congratulating Reiji for hitting round 2, but he says, we still have a lot to learn about Gunpla, don't lower your guard. This guy just hangs out. Does he not have a job to do? Is he not, like, meant to be in Italy right now?
I guess he's just still hanging out in
he does
Tokyo.
Nothing. All he does is do, like, underground Gunpla battles and, like, tries to find love across Japan. Because he probably has an entire compartment in his Vespa full of, like, Gunpla he's built to try and give to people at restaurants.
Imagine it's Valentine's Day and your significant other gives you Gunpla. I think it might work.
That would work for me, absolutely.
Yeah.
what I'm imagining, the stereotype of, like, rose petals leading to the bed. I like to imagine, like, disembodied Gunpla pieces leading to the bed. You try not to, like, fucking step on it. There's just, like, a Gunpla graveyard on your bed.
Okay, that's just morbid then at that point. Here's part of the arm, here's part of the leg. If you want to see the rest of your Gunpla kit, send 50 million pounds to this address.
Yeah. You pull the cover down, you see a fucking Foon Psyche high-grade piece on your pillow.
It's the head, of course.
Just the head. Dan, Foon Psyche is the horse Gundam, of course.
Excellent.
The God Gundam father. But we see Iori models, and we see some purple-haired girls in the shop. Sei's mom can't really help her, so she asks Sei, and she's like, oh, I want to look for a Cold Districts gym from 0080. And she starts geeking out about War in the Pocket, and Sei starts geeking out, and, like, he's finally met someone who can, like, match his enthusiasm for Gunpla, which is very nice and cute.
Sei, if a girl says that her favorite Gundam designs are from War in the Pocket, you gotta avoid her. That's just the
Sei, you gotta run. She has baggage, Sei.
Now let me tell you about the gun cannon mass production unit.
You can tell a lot about someone by what their favorite Gundam series is. And we see China, who's, like, really excited to go to Iori models and build her kit with Sei, but unfortunately she sees this other girl, and her glasses do, like, the whitewash Gendo Ikari look, and she, like, walks away dejected.
Yeah.
Like, this seems like I want to not like it because typical of romance, but it's so like exaggerated over this misunderstanding. I actually adore it. It's
No,
great.
yeah, because it's like what I appreciated. There's a point later on, in like the second or third episode where I think, or the second episode, it's like when Mao comments that they look like boyfriend and girlfriend, and neither of them are like, oh, whoa, whoa, no, no, no. Like, they just kind of brush it off, which is like more of a breath of fresh air than them, like, it being that thing where they're always like, everyone's suggesting it, and they're just like awkwardly like having to deny things. Like, I'm glad they're kind of, like, I don't know. I guess I'm just glad it's not like super like in your face, like, oh, the boy and the girl are gonna get together because it's an anime.
Yeah, I think like the writers were mandated on it, but they get to have fun with it at least. So
yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, look, if you have a significant other, just build a gunpla kit with them. It's the quickest way to their heart, or to see like what they're like when they get frustrated because you lost the fucking little red piece that goes in front of the V-fin that you couldn't find for 6 months. I found it.
Yeah, Aubrey knows how I was when I was trying to build the Zaku real grade.
Oh god, the fucking tubes.
The
tubes. But she walks off and she sees Reiji, who's like, "You're the one I met in that place called school," in quotes.
I love that line.
This fucking guy.
He's
I mean,
such
hey,
a little weirdo.
He is an alien. I guess they don't have school where he comes from.
Mm-hmm. He's from a fantasy world.
He's from Arion.
Instead of school, they have horses.
Instead of school, they have Fortnite. I would go to school if this was the teacher. Yeah.
If this was the teacher, and it's the teacher's like a
Ral.
night. Yeah. If this is the teacher, it's Ral. If this was the I don't know, lunch staff or whatever.
The lunch staff is Say's mom, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of she's about to say hi, like, I'm sorry, what is this? We get to school the next day, first of all.
Yeah.
And Say says hi to China at first, and she's kind of like, just kind of glares at him with her Gendo glasses again. Mm-hmm. And after school that day, she's like walking to say hi to him as they walk home, and she remembers, like, we just flash back to a conversation they had that day where he's like, oh, she's not my girlfriend, she's just like some customer. So she's like, oh, I don't have competition anymore. Bleh. So she's about to say hi to him, and then this girl Mihoshi like pops out from behind a pillar and like surprises Say and says hi to him again. And then she like once more becomes Gendo mode and very, very sad.
If only.
Yeah, come on.
If only I could know a woman who isn't my mom.
This is the anime character's dilemma for sure. And hey, this isn't that kind of show, so your mom's gonna be fine. This isn't like Full Metal Alchemist. Mm-hmm. I don't think Rinko's gonna beef it. I don't think this is that kind of show. Mm-hmm. But Yuki rolls up in his like fancy boy limo, and he asks China, he's like, hey, who's that? And she's just kind of like, oh, I don't know, I'm sad about it. But he says that he recognized her from a tournament before, so yeah, there's something there, and she's kind of like putting the moves on Say a little bit, trying to find out what his gunpla is. She gives him green tea laced with shit yourself disease.
It didn't occur to me that that's where the tummy troubles came from.
Yeah, she put fucking like laxatives or whatever the hell in his green tea, because she asked to see his build strike, and he's like, oh, I have it with me, because of course he has it with him.
Why wouldn't he?
Why wouldn't he? And he shows off all the stuff, and she asks about the backpack, and he's like, oh, there's a gimmick to the backpack. Don't tell anyone, but ... And then his butt explodes, and he has to run to a public restroom. So she's just kind of like standing there holding the build strike. First of all, knowing what she was doing here, why didn't she just pop the backpack off and fiddle around with it and see what it could do, instead of just like politely filing down its limbs and leaving it at that?
She could have gotten pretty far if she had realized that.
I think Say would have noticed at that point.
That's true. That's true. Mm-hmm. But China, as Say's shitting his doo-doo ass, China rolls up and she sees Mihoshi holding that gunpla, and she's asking like, "Hey, what's the deal?" And Say comes back at this point, and Mihoshi's like, "Oh, I'll see you at the store later." And like, again, this terrible misunderstanding. China runs off, but like, fucking Ral walks out of the same bathroom that Say was in, and I guess he was just hanging out in there too. And he's like, "Ah, so this is youth."
So this is shitting.
Happy shitting, Sayori.
Do you think they saw Ral in there and just avoided eye contact?
Yeah.
I think this
Ral
is the thing,
was
right?
in the next stall over.
I feel like at any point Ral's not on the screen, you need to be asking yourself, when's Ral gonna show up? He's like the fucking, like, the Metabots referee who's always there, just ready to pop out when someone mentions, like, doing a meta battle. Like, there is always Ral. He's part of, like, a hive mind where there's, like, a Ral on every block walking around because Ral is always needed.
I
more
think
appropriately, the referee from G Gundam.
Exactly.
I think he's a ghost.
I think a lot of these characters are technically ghosts. Like, that's, I think, kind of canon.
Yeah.
Which is a little weird. But we cut to the next day of the tournament, and of course Yuki wins his match, and he's busting moves in his Zaku. He is acrobatic as hell. He's like, they're in space. He's like flying upside down, doing like Yuri on Ice type shit in space. And as he like kind of walks off, he sees Sei and Reiji, and he warns them. He's like, "Hey, your next opponent, they've won their first 2 rounds by default, so you be on your toes." And of course, Kirara walks in, singing the song. Her fans are here. She has like 10 fans, by the way. Like, you think it's a big deal. You think she's going to have like a whole throng of people. No, there's like 10 guys in shirts of her. That's it. It's very subdued. But then we see, as they're all going, Kiraran! Fucking Raul also calls her name from the crowd. Sky. This is the best character in any anime.
Let's see. So they have their Gunpla battle. She's got Gerbera Tetra.
Yeah, this is from Operation Stardust, and it's painted. I thought it was painted like a Strike Rouge. The wiki says it's painted like the concert version of the Zaku Warrior from Seed, which I can see either way. It's like a pink and a magenta color scheme.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I played the Gundam hero shooter for like 20 minutes. This guy seemed pretty cool. Unfortunately, I was too bad at the game to play for more than 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's the, like, I see so many people having fun with that game, but A, my computer can't run that, so I'd have to wait for it to drop on console next month. But B, playing a competitive online shooter with, like, a controller isn't really that easy.
Yeah.
Like, I can do Doom, you know, it's like a single-player console thing, but, like, when it's a whole online thing requiring mouse precision, not so good at that part.
Everything happens so much.
That's so true. I'm always saying this. But they're fighting. They're in a city. Like they roll up. They're facing off, and like Kirara she does the Char kick at the shield, which is really fun. It kind of like does that freeze frame of just bam, and as the build strike gets knocked backwards, like the leg just pops off, and the arm, or if he like falls backward onto some power lines and gets caught, and the arm pops off, and like he notices these scratches on the joints. And this is when he puts together that the girl Mihoshi from before is Kirara, and she's a saboteur.
Yeah, she fights dirty and she fights
very
to
dishonest,
win.
very disrespectful.
But
we get this like we get the Kirara backstory here, which is really funny because she's just like, yeah, I don't care about any of this at all. I just wanted to be an idol, and my manager says I should be a Gunpla type idol. So I did that, and I studied on anime I didn't care about. And so she knows all of this stuff, but she just couldn't give less of a shit about it. And much like that one guy from Gunpla Builders Beginnings Youth is Hainu. Kirara's Gerbera Tetra was built by those two shady scientists from before. Like, they're not part of some evil organization. They're just her stans.
Great. I didn't make that connection.
Yeah, they're the same scientists. They just built the Gerbera Tetra, and they like taught her what all the weaknesses in the build strike were based on their reconnaissance.
Incredible.
I mean,
she's just upset that Zamwat 3 did not get a continued and Tomino went on to Gundam instead.
I know, yeah. She's more of a Zabungle fan.
She gave them gift subs.
Exactly. Yeah, no, she literally like gave him like signed photos with them and Kirara, I think, as like a reward, and they love it. But she's just like firing on the shield until it just busts. And Sei is filled with like divine rage at this point because he's just so calmly. He's like, Reiji used the 12th weapon slot. Because he's just like, the idea of being beat by someone who A, didn't build her own Gunpla, and B, like, doesn't care about Gunpla, he's just like, kill. So the backpack breaks off and flies into the sky and like transforms to the build booster, which is like, you see it in a ton of Gunpla kits. It's just like, it's like a jet that slots into the backpack of a Gundam so it can like fly on its own. Seed loves doing those kinds of things. And he fires and he destroys the Gerber Tetra. And like, he wins the battle. Kirara's really sad, and he kind of like sadly picks up the build strike. But now he's sad that like, you know, all the geeking out about Gunpla was like all fake, and he's like, I never liked you at all. Like, I just wanted someone to share my special interest with. That's all. And like we see Kirara like sobbing, and Reiji's like, yeah, fat chance for that. I don't think she's gonna come back, because the scientists are all saying like, hey, we can try next time, and she's like, but a year is too far away.
Her career is destroyed. She's going to have to find some new gimmick and enter some other anime where they obsess about some other thing.
She's gonna become a Full Metal Alchemist type idol, whatever that entails.
I think it involves cosplay. It involves dark magics.
You can get like a 7-person idol group, and they're each named after one of the sins.
I mean, probably, yeah.
And you get an 8th member named Father. My favorite idol, Father.
7 anime girls and 1 very concerned dad.
And Ramba Rao.
It's gonna be Mr. Rao.
He's Father. But yeah, speaking of Rao, he gives his wisdom about how a warrior grows by facing hardship and overcoming it. And China like works up the courage to ask Sei if she can build a kit with him, and he's like, yeah, of course. So that's really nice. And we get the credits, but there's like a little creepy post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Of we see Yuki, and he congratulates Sei and Reiji, and he runs into this guy in the hallway named Alan. And Alan says the Meijin has fallen ill, and now you have to leave the name Yuki behind.
And he calls him Tatsuya.
Yeah, I mean, Tatsuya is his first name. People usually just call him his last name Yuki.
Right.
But yeah, he has to leave that name behind, and something weird's gonna happen to Yuki. Not in this episode though, because that's how it ends. Pretty good though. I mean, Kirara's again. I like how the formula is very much like Monster of the Week until they fight Yuki again, or they fight like a different rival. It feels very G Gundam to me in that way.
Yeah, I'm wondering where the show's gonna go from here, because like episode 7 is supposed to be like the end of the regionals. Are they gonna like travel the world or something?
I can only imagine the world tournament's gonna be much like longer and in depths. Because like you can't draw out a fight in Gundam like you can with other animes, especially with the whole thing about this being like the Gunpla get damaged as they fight.
Right.
Because like if you like they might do it. I'm sure this and like the 3 future build seasons, like I'm sure that there will be parts of the show where like it is just one entire episode is just a fight. But I'm wondering how well that could be paced. Because so much of what I like about this show is that it's basically like a slice of life almost.
It's much lower stakes.
Yeah. But the lower stakes, as we learn, is what makes people love it so much.
Yeah.
And that leads us pretty much into the next episode.
Episode 5. The Strongest Builder.
Strongest Builder. All right. So we start with the shortest cult opening of a kid hitchhiking, and he pulls out a kit because he's talking about paying off with the kit. But then after the intro, we get a cut to Mr. Roll showcasing the high-grade Golf, which ironically would be put in a revive line 3 years after this episode aired. So he goes into detail about how people don't necessarily always just battle with their Gunpla. A lot of them like to build them just for the sake of building them, recreating scenes from the anime, or just showing off their artistic capabilities in general. He then brings up to say that there is a expert builder coming for him. And then we cut to Sei and Reggie talking, Say's repairing the damage done from the last fight, and Reggie is just pretty much hyped up to face Yuki once more, because he's still sour about that loss. And then he takes off to find Ricardo, who is flirting with Gunpla gifts once again, drags him away to do some more backstreet Gunpla fights. Cheetah takes Say to her dad's place for sherbet, and they find the kid that was from the cold opening trying to pay for his food with another kid. So they find out that this kid is named Mao. He is the expert builder that is actually trying to find Iori's model and in turn Say. So they go back to the shop, they showcase Say's building. Mao says, oh, these are all good, but they're all just by the book. And Say rightfully points out, well, these are just the store models, they're supposed to be like that. So they bring out their custom bottles. So Say brings out the Build Strike, and Mao brings out the Gundam X Mao. And they are so enamored by the other's build that they have an imaginary battle in space. Which eventually Mr. Rawl barges in to tell them, hey, this kind of fight should not stay in imaginations, it should be on the actual stage. So Mao takes off, saying that, yeah, the two of them will duel soon enough. And it's a pretty positive ending until we hear Yuki has withdrawn from the tournament.
Dun dun dun.
And then there's like 3 minutes of advertisements for the kids that were shown off in this.
Yeah, pretty much. What my biggest impression from this show is that you okay. So you know how so many that like age-old localizing trick of if a character's from like Kansai or any like region of Japan outside of Tokyo, they kind of like localize them with a southern accent.
Mm-hmm.
They did that with Mao, but they basically just like gave him a straw hat to show that he's from Kansai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This kid rules.
He's also got the cat face going on. Extremely
face. They should have called him Meow. But he rules. I love him so much. He's in the opening, so I can tell he's decently important. And also because he's like one of the only other characters who has an actual custom Gunpla and not just like a Gunpla with a different colorway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's like hitchhiking to Tokyo, and I love that. First, not only is he like paying this guy with like a high grade Kshatriya, which first of all, depending on where you're getting it from, that's like that's a decent price, but not paying with the box. Like he pulls the box out and he's like, until we get to Tokyo, and he just builds that entire Kshatriya like on the way inside this guy's bumpy ass truck.
He's probably got a Swiss Army knife with godhand trimmers and a sanding kit.
He probably has like a gyro stabilized cutting mat if he's doing this in like a moving vehicle. Cutting those funnels out is no easy task, like on a flat immovable table. I cannot imagine doing that inside a truck. But we cut from that to Say geeking out over Rawl's new high grade goof, because his goof he used in like the first or second episode was Best Mecha Collection, which is just, it was old and busted basically.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is the new high grade, like you said, mentioned here, a couple of years before the Revive would have happened. But he does say, this is no Best Mecha Collection, boy, no Best Mecha Collection. Which I love Rawl so much. He's the character ever.
Yeah, it's shameless fan service, and we love it.
We love it because it's Rambo Rawl. He's the best character in Gundam. Reiji, of course, wants the duel, but Rawl's like, no, I just built it to faithfully replicate the anime. It's like worn and weathered and like looks like it would have if it were in real life. And he kind of exposits about how there's a lot of ways to enjoy Gunpla that aren't just battling them. Like some people build them, some people will make dioramas of moments in the show, and like the one they show is the God Gundam holding the shining Gundam.
Yeah. That looked really weird in that Bill Fighter's like style, but
I know. I'm so. Part of me loves seeing like old kits drawn in the new style, but then like I'm like, where's like the hand drawn film grain to it? Like, it's all computer drawn now, so it's so clean, and like they do a pretty good job translating most everything. But like, sometimes you'll see something like that, and I'm just like, what? Huh? Why does it look like that?
Also, Mr. Wall brings up that, Say brings up, like, he was appreciating the sanding and weathering done to give the Golf its, weathered look. And I've been building a master grade ground GM.
Nice.
And, oh boy, the process for trying to weather it was really intimidating.
Yeah, because, like, you can't just splash a bunch of Tamiya on it, because it's going to, like, crack every piece of that plastic. There's, like, an art to it.
Yeah, and you can't just, like, sand it down, because otherwise it's just going to look extremely scratched.
Yeah. Yeah, I see people who, like, weather their kits, and I'm just like, God strongest soldiers, I could not do that. I will top coat, and that's about the limit of any, like, after effect I can do after, like, panel lining and decaling it. But hey, it's fine. Gunpla is freedom.
Yep.
And Rawl.
I was just going to say, just more power to these people that go the extra mile, because
Exactly.
that is a lot of skill to take.
Oh, yeah. So Rawl mentions he's heard of a rumor of this amazing builder from Kansai who's about Sei's age, and the builder's looking for him. So Sei goes to look it up, and I think he, like, Googles, like, Kansai Gunpla boy, something like that.
Yeah, and there's also, like, these are actual photos of people's kits that they're
right, yeah. I wonder if that was,
notice.
like, a contest they held or something. Because that would make so much sense for it to be like, hey, send us your kits and you'll be featured in, like, a cameo in an episode of Build Fighters. Because, like, you can't just, like, use Google photos.
Yeah, that was a really neat touch. I liked it.
But he can't find anything about this kid. And this is when Reiji comes in asking when he's going to fix the build strike, because it's still kind of busted from the Kirara match. And he's like, oh, I'm going to add some firepower for it. Like, I want to give it more stuff so when we fight with Yuki, because we know he's tuning up his Zaku as well. And, like, I'm kind of scared. And Reiji, he's just kind of blowing him off. He's like, no, we're going to win no matter what. And, trying to reassure Sei, who's, like, very afraid that Tatsuya Yuki's going to just, like, bust his shit up real bad. But he gets the idea that, like, he wants to look at other Gunpla to see what he can change, like, what's missing from the build strike that he can add. And then we get the best scene in the anime.
This is, like, when they hang on. Yeah, so, they run into, Tatsuya Yuki, or not Tatsuya Yuki. Sorry, I'm misreading my notes. No, wait, yes. Okay, this is when Fellini, as a romantic gesture to a woman, presents her with her very own Gunpla, a Victory Gundam, finely crafted. She says, oh, this Gunpla is so nice, I couldn't possibly take it. And Fellini's just, no, you can take it. And then Reiji shows up and says, I'll take it. And completely ruins the mood.
It's so good. He's like, it's outstanding. She is so, like, honored and blushing about this, like, to being given this finally beautiful Victory Gundam. And when Reiji, like, gets him to admit, he's like, I spent 3 days building that to rope in girls. And the woman, like, looks at him all irritated. And then, like, after they're done arguing, he's like, wait, Senorita? Where's the Senorita? Oh, Dio mio!
Oh, it's so good.
I will never get tired of anime characters who talk like comedy Italians, and it is truly a blessing that I get to podcast about both this and Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, which also has a funny anime Italian in it, who just says Dio mio and gorgonzola cheese and pizza mozzarella. It's truly tremendous stuff.
Fun fact, apparently the Victory Gundam came out that month of the episode.
Hey, buy really kid. It will help you find love.
Yeah, Victory Gundam, known for its love.
Yeah. So we cut from that. We see the Straw Hat Boy. He's looking for Iori. And at the same time, Sei and China are walking to school. And she's kind of been working on more of her Gunpla. But she's like, oh, I'm only half done. I'm not as good as building it you are. And, like, Sei's clearly very distracted about their upcoming match. So China's like, hey, as thanks, how about I take you to my dad's cafe? You can get some sherbet. So they head there, and they see this little Straw Hat kid trying to pay for his meal with an Extreme Gundam, which is from, like, Gundam EX Versus. The Extreme Gundam's really weird looking, because its head is way too big for its body. It makes it look like a Core Gundam almost, and it has just, like, a gigantic V-fin. Apparently it was designed by Okawara, but, like, I'm not into it that much.
Yeah, that was a video game exclusive, right?
Yeah, and like I have the latest Mobile Suit Gundam EX versus Maxi Boost On, which is a pretty lengthy title. And like all like the Extreme Gundam and all of those like other versions of it are like bosses in like the end of arcade mode. Everything else is really cool in that game. I just don't really get it. Like I love big rosters in games, and that I think they have like 180 mobile suits in that game. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's one of those like we need to design like an exclusive suit for the video game to get people to play it, like they did with what is it, like Gundam Battle Assault, like the PS2 or the PS1 like 2D fighter where they added like they made the Psycho Gundam Mark III out of nowhere.
Yeah, and the Blue Destiny Gundam for the Saturn games.
Right. Honestly, though, Blue Destiny's kind of popped off since then, though. Because were the Riders introduced in Blue Destiny, or was that a different story? Like Pale Rider, White Rider, etc.
Don't remember. I really need to play the Saturn games. I played the that one Dreamcast like sort of spin-off one, which is really fun. Even like it's a first-person take controls, but that's the kind of like thing I do.
Yeah, so. Right. That would make sense though, honestly. I can't find out, but still, Pale Rider, Blue Destiny, all those. It's from Missing Link, which I think is the oh, that's PS3. Never mind. So Pale Rider's really recent. Anyway, all I'm saying is that they should let FromSoft make another Gundam game like they did with Unicorn. I would like that, please. Elden Gundam, if you will.
Yeah. So this boy wants to go to like Iori Models, and he's like after dealing with this whole financial issue getting resolved, they're like walking, and he finds out he's just met Sayori. He's like, so
his lifelong rival.
And then he does like a little introduction splash card where he introduces himself as Mao Yasaka, the winner of the Japanese fifth block, who aspires to be the best gunpla builder in the world. They're very confused, and so he explains himself again, and it plays the same splash card again, but like sped up slightly.
Yeah. Okay, I'll make this quick, and he just does it 5% faster.
Mm-hmm.
It rules. Mao is so funny.
He's a funny boy.
And like, yeah, this is when he's like, you and your girlfriend, and then just kind of like brush it off, and like they like, I love the shot of them trying to like power walk away from him. Be like, all right, I've had enough of this guy. But he goes to he heads back with them to Iori Models, and then we cut from there to Reiji and Ricardo fighting. Reiji's using that Victory Gundam from before, and Ricardo's in the Wing Fenice. And again, we barely see this thing in action, but I noticed it has like a beam rapier, kind of like the Gion's weapon. Like you see the way it like holds it like in its right hand as it kind of like charges down that like desert cliffside.
Oh yeah.
Every time I see this thing, I love it. It's such a cool color scheme. I love when it's like primary green instead of blue. Just like how the Shenlong, or more like the Ultron, are like my favorite wingsuits. We just like a green thing. But so Reiji's training with Ricardo. And we go to Iori Models, and Mao's looking at all Sei's gunpla, and he kind of like thinks he thinks on his master's words, and we kind of like flash back to he was at the Gunpla Shingyo school, like a straight up martial arts dojo, but for gunpla, I guess. Mm-hmm. It is delightful. Again, I love how everything in this show revolves around plastic robots, taken completely straight faced.
Yeah. His master tells him about the one man he ever feared, Takeshi Iori, and how he has a son named Sei, and he should go see that boy and learn how big the world is, so he can become the new so he can like graduate or whatever.
He tells this 10-year-old boy to go to Japan.
I know, and he does it.
He does.
So, and like he doesn't really seem interested. He's like, oh, I'm kind of regret coming here. This isn't what I was looking for. And he talks about how all of Sei's models, they're built really well, but they're built very basic. It's just like what you see on the box. So he talks about how there's no imagination in your kits. So Mao kind of eggs Sei on, so he has to pull out the build strike, and like they go upstairs into the house. And they have fucking leather hip holsters for their Gundams. And, like, it's a fucking showdown at high noon when the water drips out of the sink faucet and hits the bowl, they draw and they like both slam their Gundam on the ground to show it off. It's so funny.
They have a gunpla battle in the realms of their imagination.
In their mind palaces. Yeah. We see the Gundam X Mao, which is mostly a Gundam X, pretty much. Like, it's not that different from it, all things considered. It has more blue, and it has like a lot more kind of like glowy bits for the satellite cannon to power up. Mm-hmm. But it's just a custom Gundam X, pretty much. I don't remember if does the Gundam X's like fins fold back? I don't think they did, because this X only has two that kind of like pop out and fling open for the satellite cannon, but it's a nice kind of like modernized take on it, I guess. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they have this absolutely hysterical battle in their mind palaces where like they're piloting the Gundam. So since the build strike is based on the Strike Gundam, Sei is in Kira Yamato's piloting outfit.
Yeah.
And Mao is using like Garrett Rand's clothing. It's so funny. It's so cute. I love all these little touches.
Such an amazing look. I like yeah. I like
and,
it. That's all.
and Rinko is like, why aren't they moving? And China's like, their imaginations are making them move. And like, they're just like closing their eyes, imagining the exact same thing to the point that they can like enter each other's mind palaces. It's the most absurd stuff. I love it. It cracks me up.
It's wild. I love it.
I guess the biggest difference with the X is that like it's a Plavsky particle cannon. So like, and he says everyone at the Shinkyo school can do it. Like all of the blue transparent bits on it are like, I guess, Plavsky emitters. And he does a satellite cannon and he fires it, and like Sei gets blasted by it. And then this is the most like fucking playing on the playground saying, oh, I have a shield that can deflect any attack, so you can't hurt me. Sei is like, I would have gotten hit by that, but when we do gunpla battles, I don't pilot it. Reiji does. And then we see like Reiji in the cockpit, like who dodged the attack and flies in for the kill. Mm-hmm. God, it's so fucking funny. And this is when Rao, like, his big ass hand like chops through the dream. He's like, stop! Put the match on hold. The battle is too good to let it go on in your imagination. You need to finish this on the world stage. Great stuff. Great stuff, Rao. Thank you so much.
How did you get in here, Raw?
I'm saying, there's a Raw in every street. There's always Raw is everywhere. We are all Raw.
It's an Agent Smith thing.
It's an Agent Smith thing. So of course, Mal's really excited to fight Reiji in the future.
Have the hots for Sei's mom.
Absolutely. And you know what? A lot of the Crunchyroll comments do too. I was watching like, I swear to God, I was watching the 4th episode this morning, and the top comment is like someone saying, you know what? I've been thinking this after 3 episodes. Sei's mom is hot. It's like, yeah, you and like the rest of the world agree.
It took you 3 episodes to realize that? Okay.
Yeah. Oof, I was there day 1. So Mao leaves. He's excited to fight Reiji and Sei in the future. He's like, oh, you know, if you pilot that good inside your mind palace, I can only imagine what this guy's like. And then like Mao leaves, and Sei knows he's going to be even more amazing builders. And he works on like a new rifle for the build strike after this, which I thought it looked like a X-Acto knife, like with the blade like kind of sheathed inside it. I had no idea what this gun was or what it's based on. Because it looks nothing like the the satellite cannon, but it's a cool new laser, and it looks like it could be something from Seed with the way it fires like a red and black beam. But it blasts it, and we like see them use that in the final, or in their match, their 3rd round match, where they defeat a Zaku colored GPO2 with it, and just like completely obliterate this poor thing. And the final little bit is is the final quarterfinal match. We see Sasaki, who's supposed to be fighting Yuki, but it is announced that Yuki declined to show up and is withdrawn. So Sasaki's like, oh, thank God, I would have lost against him. And Reiji's like really, really mad that Yuki's a no-show. And like we see him at the Gunpla factory standing in front of like a gigantic tube of Plavsky particles. Yuki.
Yeah.
And creepy. Where's he getting those?
What's going on?
It's like that Metroid Prime boss fight against the Parasite Queen. She's going to come out of that big old tube. Gotta watch out, Yuki.
Yeah, a giant actual Gundam's gonna come out of that tube.
Damn, that would be a really cool plot point.
The Gundam statue becomes canon.
Mm-hmm.
And sentient.
Optimus Prime is a transformer. Watch out. And that's episode 5. Yeah. So next up,
episode 6, A Reason to Battle. Sei and Reiji are devastated to learn that Yuya has withdrawn from the tournament and left school under mysterious circumstances. In his fury, Reiji rationalizes it as an act of cowardice. In the semi-final match against Sasaki, Reiji takes out his self-righteous anger against Sasaki to the point of heavily damaging Build's strike. Mr. Rawl explains that someone who has no reason to fight cannot win. Meanwhile, Yuya tests out his gunpla on an arena in a mysterious high-tech facility. Alan tells him that he is going to proudly inherit an unknown title. Yuya mostly cares about the gunpla, though. China comes by Iori Models to use the shop's compressor, and Sei explains to her how Reiji's goal this whole time was to fight Yuki. Reiji runs into Mr. Rawl, where he masks his anger by pointing out how trivial gunpla battles are. Mr. Rawl tells him that being able to have robot battles without the looming threat of war actually gives the gunpla battlers more drive, because they are driven out of passion instead of desperation. He then introduces Reiji to a certain friend of his. Reiji runs back to Iori Models and begs Sei to let him use Build Strike. As it turns out, he's gotten an opportunity to battle Yuya for real. Sei agrees, and he, Reiji, and Yuya take part in an all-out gunpla battle. It kicks ass. Mr. Rao is here. Polini and Alan are here. In the end, Yuya manages to win again, but Sei have renewed their resolve to take part in the tournament. Build Strike will need time to repair, but Sei has built a new gunpla in the meantime. Build Gundam Mark II. Based on a Gundam that was used by the Earth Federation to hunt down Zeon Remnant, Sei and Reiji begin the regional final for the tournament, and the episode ends. In the post-credits scene, a mysterious white woman says that the white gunpla is going to win.
Dan, my notes also call her a mysterious white woman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's all in white. She's fucking Vice Schnee from Ruby. It's called character design. So this one starts out like very quickly after the last one, when the news of Yuki quitting is going around. So Sei runs to the student council room. It's just Gonda there, and Gonda's saying like he's withdrawn from school. He's taken an indefinite leave. And it's like a whole mess. Like he goes and talks to Reiji next, and Reiji's just kind of like really pissed at Yuki being like a coward and quitting. Mm-hmm. And he's just too scared to fight our really kick-ass gunpla. He's like, it's fine. We're just one step closer. We're in the tournament. And he's clearly like covering it up. He's clearly like really mad and beat up about all this.
Yeah.
Cowardly.
We see where Yuya is right now. He's sending out his gunpla, Zaku Amazing, on a gunpla range. It's like it's like a firing range with like little cardboard cutouts of, I think, the mass production builds.
It's like actually that skipped ahead a little bit, because we do get a fight before this.
Oh, okay, right. Sorry, I got my scenes mixed up. I guess
it's I mean both are really great scenes, but this scene it's a semifinals match against Sasaki. And Sasaki has one of the most delightful kits I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Gyan.
The Gyan. This thing is so funny. What if it had 2 shields? That's literally all it is. First of all, the color scheme is really nice too. It's like gold with like this like really dark maroon chest and skirt. And it keeps like the same kind of Gyan style shield, but like, again, it just the shield colors are different. I think, oh my god, wait, you know what it is? It's the colors of the Gyan shield and body are flipped backwards.
Oh, that's fun.
I didn't notice that until now. Hold on. That's so funny. Yeah, no, it's like almost exactly the gold and red of the shield become like the gold and maroon of the body, and like the purple and gray are like the purple and gray shield. That's so funny. Anyway, this thing fucks, and Sasaki should have won.
Yeah, he's got 2 shields. You can't lose. That's double the protection.
That's 2 times defense. He just doesn't take damage.
That like the double shields thing. I thought when I played World of Warcraft, that was a very common thing. Like, my paladins do wield shields.
You can do that. Bravely Default 2 lets you do that as well, and that's always a really fun strategy. Just go full bonk mode. Reiji does end up winning, but even though like and he fights like an absolute sicko because he gets messed up pretty bad from the first shield volley, and he runs into the beam saber like screaming how Sasaki is no match for someone like him. Just cuts him in half. But the build strike got really badly damaged in that battle, and Reiji kind of apologizes because he underestimated opponent, and it is very clear that unlike Troy Bolton, his head is not in the game. He's just kind of like wanders off, and even Raul thinks that they're not going to be able to win the next round if they're like the way they are now, with Reiji just like being so mad and aimless about everything. He has to get over Yuki. Someone who has no reason to battle cannot win.
Yeah.
And this is when we get that kind of like training range scene. And specifically the arena that the Zaku Amazing is training in is a replica of Jaburo from Gundam. It's like that cool kind of like underground city that's also in the Amazon rainforest.
Great.
Is normal. They nuked it. It's fine. It's gone now. But he's doing so good. We see Alan, who's like that blonde guy who told him that he has to be like the Majin has fallen ill. And he's like, "You're the best successor. You'll be named successor to the 3rd generation." They're speaking in very, very vague terms. But clearly, this is something put on by like PPSE Works, which I think is the people like PP meaning Plavsky particle. So I guess this is like the kind of group behind everything, like behind the Gunpla and whatnot.
I guess, yeah. It's very high tech.
Yeah, and Alan even mentions that like Yuki got such good scores, and he didn't even use a PPSE Works suit. He just used his own Zaku Amazing. He doesn't need that fancy PPSE shit. He has a lot of guns, a lot of missiles. Let's see. I think this is when we see Sei. He's building more parts for the build strike, and he's wondering why Yuki chickened out even after he told the boys that they need to perfect their Gundam for their next fight, because he wasn't like avoiding them or anything. And this is when China shows up, and Rinka was very cute about this. It's very much like, ooh, my boy has a girl over. So she's just like hovering around them the entire time.
Yeah, she's very encouraging of her son.
Yeah, she's a good mom. We love Rinko. China's airbrushing her kit. I don't know. I know that she gets a bear guy. I don't think this is a bear guy. She was bear brushing. God.
Yeah. It was like, it's like a Zaku, I think.
I think it was just a Zaku, because I noticed the Zaku foot, and that's like a very, very recognizable foot.
I just noticed like the shoulder pad.
Yeah, the spiky shoulder, and then like the one like just like 90-degree
the shield. There's also the shield. Yeah,
it's the hallmark of the Zaku.
Yeah, and you know what? Like if your first kit is a Zaku, that's like entirely understandable. That was my first kit I fully built. So
that was I think that was my first UC kit. Because the very first model I ever built was an Ava unit.
Yeah.
And then I built like 2 or 3 build fighter suits. I actually built the you know what it was? It was the red frame from this show that we're gonna see in a little bit, and the blue frame second R, I think. And then I got a Zaku, and that was my first like UC high grade. I still have it. It's I keep them around so I can see how much farther I've come. Like my, poorly snipped out, lack of stickers suits against like the shit that I top coated and decaled and everything. Gun plus freedom.
Yeah, I kind of do the same where I see, how did I miss all these nubs?
Yeah, right. It's always, I'm like, oh my god, I didn't have god hands back then. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
But yeah, so China, she works at Airbrush real good because she's part of the art club too, I think she mentions. And Reiji is like wandering through a mall, and he sees a gunpla battle on the screen, and he's just like not interested anymore. This is when one of hundreds of Raw units across the city pops out of a cafe, asking Reiji if he wants to fight. And he's like, he talks about how he just doesn't get gunpla. And Raul says one of the most incredible lines I've ever heard. I quote, "Unlike Mobile Suit Gundam, we're not in a state of war, so we don't need to put our lives on the line." really funny stuff, man.
We
Raw.
can, in fact, enjoy Wow Cool Robot.
Yeah, war is bad, and we could leave it at that. Because he just talks about how the reason people love Gunpla so much is because they can just have fun with it, and they don't need to put their life on the line. Like, it can just be a hobby, and it has no stakes, and that's why people just, have so much fun with it.
It's a light, breezy, no stakes robot hobby.
Yeah, and he's like, it's fine to give up, but it's just a hobby. But regardless, people put their all into it. Like that guy, and we see, like, Yuki walking in from the side of the screen. He's in cahoots with Agent Rawl, I think. Agent Rawl is a puppet of PPSE. That's why there's hundreds of them.
Yeah. So Reiji starts running. He's like he runs all the way to like Iori Gunpla or Iori Works. I forgot what it's called. And just begs Sei to let him use build strike, and he's like, I'm gonna be real with you. I could damage it, I could just decimate it, but that doesn't matter right now.
He walks in, hey, Sei, I'm gonna fuck your Gunpla up so bad, dude, but I need it for now.
I'm willing to make this sacrifice of you having to repair it.
Yeah. What was like the Lord of Farquaad line? Like, you're all sacrifices I'm willing to make, or something like that.
Yeah. A true nobleman.
A true gentleman. But of course, Sei's like, hell yeah, fuck yeah, dude, I made this Gunpla for you, and I can tell you're doing it with Yuki. So they go to school, and like China comes with them, of course. And China sees Yuki standing on the other side of the table, and she starts to ask him why he left school, and Reiji and Sei stop her, and they're like, no, we can only understand this through battle. And the flamenco kicks in as they get on the field. I love it.
Yeah.
God, this battle is so amazing.
It's ass.
It's in space. You can see like a Musai class Xeon ship like busted in the background. So it's like a 1 year war era like space fight that they're in. We see like their particle cannon, which is a really fun effect. It's very like Studio Trigger the way it fires, and the beam kind of like whips around. But like the shield gets sliced in half. Yuki's like throwing out all the stops, just like busting them up left and right, and like they're at one point Reiji's like, shit, I'm sorry, it's getting broken, and Sei is like, go kick his ass, dude, like don't worry about it. And we have some really cool like shots of the battle damage they're taking. Like Yuki almost cuts through the body with a heat nada. At one point his Vulcans like shoot out each of the eyes on the Build Strike, so the Build Strike's eyes are like smoking and flaming as it's like firing its Vulcans back. Absolutely terrifying stuff from like a Gundam toy commercial. And we see Rawl here, and we see Alan here, and we see Riccardo Fellini, my favorite character too. Like everyone who matters is here watching this fight, except for Mao, who's presumably building like a Sinanju for the truck who's taking it back to Kansai. But they both. So first, in order to get out of this like deadlock they're in, Reiji pops off the build booster. And then Yuki also apparently has the same kind of system installed on his Zaku Amazing, because like it also pops off some kind of like weird like gun booster after it. This is an interesting.
There's a part where he like crushes the gun and slashes the shield in half.
Yeah.
The fight's so intense that like Build Strike's face is melting apart.
It's so cool. Oh, so yeah, I think it's just the amazing booster. It's all of like the dark red parts of the Zaku Amazing like coming together, but it almost looks like a Wave Rider, like the way the gun is positioned and the backpack and the legs. It's very Zeta, but they both kind of yell, "This is my Gunpla!" as they clash, and it flashes to white, and of course Yuki won, but it was a lot closer that time.
Yeah, like the Amazing Zaku was destroyed along with the Build Strike. It's just pretty much their boosters were the only thing left.
Yeah. But and Alan is like he hands Yuki a thing of tea. Hopefully that tea also doesn't have shitting disease in it. I don't think Alan's on that Mihoshi shit. But he's like,
Alan's
damn,
also a pop star.
Yeah. He's like, damn, Yuki, you fought real good. You're definitely worthy of being third generation. And Yuki's like, I may have won, but my goals lay far beyond what this was. And we see Sei and Reiji who are walking home, and they're happy. Like, they're not bummed at all. Like, Reiji's like, we got our asses handed to us, but we're going to win next time.
Yeah. They got pretty close in that fight, I felt.
That's the thing, like, maybe, I don't know what Reiji's on about. Maybe, like, Yuki just completely fucked their booster way up with his booster afterwards, and we just didn't see that part. But, like, that looked like a very even fight. If you can take your opponent down with you, like, you've done a good job, I think. Mm-hmm. But Sei is like, no, I learned a lot from that fight. And when they get back to Sei's room, they look at the build strike, and it's like completely fucked up. And Reiji's like, you can't repair that all in time for the finals, can you? And Sei's like, no, I can't. But you didn't think this is my only gunpla, did you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's like his family owns a gunpla shop.
Damn, what a concept. And he pops out the Build Gundam Mark II.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about the Build Strike anymore. This is my new love. I love the Gundam Mark II so much. It is one of like the sickest suits I've ever seen. And this is such a cool like reimagining of it. Like it has the AU colors. First of all, the Titans colors would have looked cooler, but whatever. But it has like a built-in G defensor. Like it's like underhanding both of the gun barrels. And I really like the antenna. How it doesn't go off to the side like a Gundam V-fin does. They both pop up as if they're like half of a Strikes V-fin or something. This thing rules. I really, really, really like this thing.
Yeah. The Mark II is something I was like at first when I first saw it, but then like over the months it's like, holy shit, this thing actually rules. There's a perfect grade of it, and I really want the color version of it if I can't get like the Zephyranthus.
Yeah, it's like I would if the perfect grade was it perfect grade extreme RX-78. That was really cool. If they made a perfect grade Mark II, I would be scrambling to get that as soon as I could, because Mark II is just like one of the coolest Gundams ever.
Yeah.
So they reveal that, and like, we'll certainly see it in action in the next set of episodes. And they make it to the crowd, and they make it to the arena, and they say that their opponent is Mr. Kato, a tournament regular. We don't even see this guy because they're just like getting ready to fight. Yeah. And the post-credit scene is like a car going down the highway, and there are these two men talking to a mysterious white woman, just a girl dressed all in white hair, white hat. She looks like she came from like fantasy Russia or something, like, very icy clothes. And they're trying to talk to her about like Sei and Reiji and like their upcoming match, and she just says the white Gundam will win, whatever that means. That's where the episode ends.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a callback to Lala from Mobile Suit Gundam, actually.
Oh my god, that's right! The white suit. Good old Lala. It's too bad about everything. But that's the episodes. Yeah. So I reckon we got a little segment in a Beyond Toon world, perhaps.
You're going to love this. Trust me. Beyond Toon World!
Yeah, I think you said you wanted me to find something, but I'm sorry to say that I could not find any value. I couldn't find any information on the voice actor playing Reiji. Do you have anything prepared?
So I actually looked it up. She hasn't been in a ton. Hold on. Damn it, I had this page up and I got rid of it. Voiced by Sachi Kokuryu. For some reason, my behind the voice actors page just wouldn't show up for this either. But so here we go. All right, I got it. Sachi Kokuryu was born in July 9th in Japan, specifically Saitama Prefecture, Japan. July 9th, 1984. She's been a voice actress. She's been active since 2000 as part of the Himawari Theater Group. And she's been at it for a little while. So as far as anime goes, why did I close that tab? That was a tab I was reading. As far as anime goes, going back to 2004, it looks like the first thing she was credited in is Kyo Kiara Mao and Windy Tales. In 2007, in D. Greyman, she was Eric. In 2009, a little TV show called Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds.
Oh, excellent. Yes.
She's a character called Sly.
Uh-huh.
Is that anything?
It's not ringing any bells, but that might be like a sub name. So
Yeah, oh, that's true. That's true. We'll find out next year. In 2011, hey, another Yu-Gi-Oh show, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal this time. She's a character called Tron.
Oh, that sounds familiar, but I
can't believe she got to play. Fuck, not Jeff Bridges, Kurt Russell. Wait, shit, which one of them was Tron?
I don't know.
Who played Tron? It was Jeff Bridges. I was right the first time.
I'm going to look up this character that you mentioned.
Sly.
Yes. Okay. I don't immediately recognize this character. I think this might be like a side character or something.
He looks like a discount Chaz.
Yeah. He does look like he's from an anime from like a decade or two earlier.
Yeah, his hair is too big for him to be a late 2000s anime character.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. In 2014, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal 2, I guess that's just the second season.
Yeah, that's the second season. The second season is just called Zexal 2. It's great.
That kicks ass. That's so stupid. I love it. She voices not only Tron, but also a character called Ohi. Again, probably another side character is not that important. Of course, 2013 in Build Fighters, she voices Reiji. Let's see. In Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans in 2015, she voices Ozzy Guruman, who is one of the best characters in that show, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We love Ozzy. In 2016, wow, wait, what the fuck? Mob Psycho 100 aired in 2016?
Yeah.
I thought it was so much later than that. Damn. Anyway, 2016 show of Mob Psycho 100, she voices Sho Suzuki, which is pretty fun. And also Katsuki Bakugo as a child in My Hero, which is a show I care much less about than Mob Psycho.
Uh-huh. As anyone should.
Uh-huh. In 2017, video anime of Pocket Monster Sun and Moon, she voiced Professor Burnett, who is Professor Kukui's wife.
Great.
She had like the cool like green visor.
Yeah,
she's a fun character.
I recall.
Yeah. In 2018, she voiced Arthur Pendragon as part of the Seven Deadly Sins. This is like one of her big roles. Netflix would love for you to care about Seven Deadly Sins.
They sure would.
They sure fucking would. I remember there was a time period when like that was the only like ad for other shows I would ever see on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it went well for them.
Yeah.
And now they don't advertise any anime, especially JoJo's Part.
Especially Part 6. God, at least we're getting all the episodes this year. It's okay. Gundam Sunrise gave us Suletta Sundays, so it's almost a fair trade-off.
Yeah.
Those are all of her major anime roles. Looks like she's Kaim in Grand Blue Fantasy. She voices this Tron character in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal game. She was in some drama CDs, and she starred in an episode of Ultraman Nexus and Ultra 7X. So yeah, she's done a good amount of stuff over the years. Thank you, Sachi Kokuryu. Thank you, Reiji, you strange alien child. And that will, I reckon, take us to plugs. Where can we find all of us on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter at Bigger Challenge. You can visit my card, biggerchallenge.card.co, to see a list of the podcasts I'm on, which include Pod of Greed, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast I'm on with Max. We are making our way through Season 4 of Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, the undubbed story. Lately, it's been a sort of series of episodes where all the side characters get their plots resolved. You can listen to the Sonic Shuffle. It's a Sonic podcast. We did record a Halloween special where I read a story that Slow Beef once talked about called Good Night, Sweet Princess, and then we found 2 other Sonic creepypastas on the website that we found that are very much written by 10-year-olds and very enjoyable.
Yes.
You can listen to Video Games, the movie, the podcast, a video game movie review podcast I do with my friend Maxie. we recorded last night an episode on Pokemon the first movie, aka Mewtwo Strikes Back. Next month we're going to be talking about the Professor Layton animated film, Professor Layton and the Eternal Diva.
Her name is Taylor Swift.
Sure.
We solved the case. She's the Eternal Diva.
That's it for active podcasts. But I guess since it's October, I'll mention my finished podcast, Chill Bleed, about Ill Bleed. Alright, that's it for me.
Cool. Yuria?
You can find me on Twitter at YourGalYuria. 6 Feet Under has officially finished recording Mouse Guard. We finally got the epilogue done. I'm actually surprised at how well I was able to record today, because last night was nearly a 3-hour recording again.
Damn.
Amount of, I think after trimming it should be less than 5 hours total, but that's still very long.
That's still a lot, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's content.
I'm not sure if we're actually finished with 6 Feet Under yet, because there was possibility of interstitial or Vampire the Masquerade was brought up.
Those are both very fun
I
games.
might have to encourage that.
I love me an interstitial game.
Whenever you hear an interstitial, I mean, hell, in the third season, I think it was Riley who played Char Aznable from our very own Gundam franchise.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good-ass game.
I actually ran interstitial for a campaign, and that was pretty fun, so...
Yeah.
Nice.
If people want to do that, we might actually do it, so...
Hell yeah. And I'm Max. You can go to Twitter at MaxyBajillion to follow me. As Dan mentioned, I'm part of Pod of Greed, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Podcast. Tune in 2023 for the year of 5Ds. You can go to Slappers Only Pod on Twitter to listen to Slappers Only, a video game music showdown podcast I do that we record rarely because we're busy, but it'll happen. And you can go to Twitter at NVM the Trollocs to listen to Nevermind the Trollocs, a Wheel of Time podcast. Next year, I think we'll be doing more of that. There's a car alarm going off. Awesome. Thank you to Noisepace.xyz for hosting this podcast and many more. You can go to Twitter at WowCoolPodcast to find us. Discord links are in the episode descriptions and Twitter header. Is it my turn for Robot of the Week?
Yeah.
I get confused because I'm running two different shows. I believe
so, because, yeah.
You both did it last week because I forgot the first week.
Yeah, I did think Ian for sure.
Yeah. So my Robot of the Week, I am going to... You know what? I just started playing a new file of Elden Ring because there's something deeply wrong with me. And I mean, I want to go for a different kind of build. I want to do quality build instead of int magic. So I just want to get a cool sword and swing it in a really cool way. But I'm going to pick a robot from Elden Ring, which is called the Abductor Virgin, which is an Iron Maiden. I am copying an image of this and pasting it in the Gundam Heaven chat so y'all can see this if you're not aware. But they're these nasty Iron Maiden creatures that have huge scythes on chains for arms. They roll at you and swing around. They're a robot because they're powered by snakes.
Great.
They are just chock full of snakes that are moving the limbs and opening the body and grabbing the player and shoving them inside. Which is, the idea of a snake-powered mechanism, that's pretty cool to me.
Uh-huh. Incredible.
They're also terrible to fight. I hate these things. They're very annoying.
God, I need to finish Elden Ring.
It took me 130 hours to do everything in that.
Yeah, that's not the rate I feel.
Yeah.
I think I'm 50 hours in, but...
barely over a third of the way through.
I gotta get through the tutorial at least before I pass judgment.
Yeah. And that will do it for us on this podcast today. So, in conclusion, what have we learned today? Buy our toys.
Wow, cool robot.
I don't know why I said it like it was a question. Buy our toys?